Okay, so you know how sometimes you get this feeling that everything's kind of connected, like not just you and me, but like everything in the universe.
Yeah, yeah, I've definitely had those thoughts.
Well, that's what we're diving into today. This quantum resonance matrix model. It takes that feeling and turns it into, well, a model, a way to try and understand how our consciousness, the environment, and even the cosmos might all be tangled up. The sources you sent us really dig into it. So
Yeah, they really do.
our mission here is to really grasp the core ideas, how this model suggests that even our perception could be actively shaping reality. And what's cool is it's designed to adapt as we learn more. So,
Right, so it's not like set in stone.
yeah, exactly. Always evolving.
That's key because, with these kinds of big questions about consciousness and reality, we're constantly learning new things.
Right.
So having a model that's flexible enough to incorporate new data is really important.
Absolutely. So the really profound thing here is this idea of fundamental interconnectedness. It's not just a nice thought. It's about specific vibrations and resonances. We're going to unpack how our experience might be actively creating the reality we perceive, what we see, feel, hear.
Exactly. It's the idea that we're not just passive observers of reality, but active participants in its creation.
Right, and it all starts at the tiniest level, the micro level. So the
Yeah.
model talks about this thing called the microdot, which is basically your consciousness at a quantum level, right?
Mm.
Maybe it's linked to tiny movements in your cells,
Hmm.
or even the synchronized firing of brain waves, those gamma waves around 40 hertz.
So it's like each of our consciousnesses has this sort of quantum fingerprint.
Right, and then you have the microcircle. That's about how your mind interacts with the world immediately around you, the things you can sense. And that's different for everyone, right?
Yeah, think of a dog, for instance. They can hear
Uh-huh.
those high-pitched sounds that we can't even perceive, right?
Yeah.
So their immediate reality is shaped by that. They're experiencing a whole world of sound that we're completely oblivious to. And all these interactions at this micro level, they're creating what the model calls vibrational strings. These are like the fundamental units of energy or information, and they're constantly vibrating.
Okay, so it's like each interaction creates a little vibration.
Yeah, exactly. And interestingly, there are these things like those brainwave spikes some people have at the end of life, right before they die.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And those could be a hint that this quantum level of consciousness is real, Though how these delicate quantum states survive in our warm, messy brains is still a huge puzzle.
Right, decoherence.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go from that quantum level, right?
Yeah.
And we zoom out to the human level. Now we're talking about the human dot. That's you, me, everyone interacting with their environment circle, the world around us.
Mm.
And it's a two-way street, right? Light affects us, electromagnetic fields, all those things. But even something like a group of people meditating, and they're all syncing up their brain waves, that might actually influence the environment around them.
It's pretty wild to think about. And this is where it gets really interesting because it ties into how crucial our perception is. A
Mhm.
bat, it uses sonar to see, to navigate. We use our eyes. Same reality, but totally different internal experiences. Right?
Yeah.
And every interaction, every perception we have, it adds more of those vibrational strings to the matrix, this grand web of interconnectedness. And, the model also points to some really interesting areas for future exploration, these placeholders, as they call them.
Tell me about those. These placeholders sound interesting.
Yeah, so one of them is this idea of plant consciousness. We know that plants have these slow electrical patterns, but could those be resonating with, say, sound or light? Could music affecting plant growth be an example of this matrix at work?
Oh, wow.
Then there's collective consciousness. This idea that when groups of people sync up during meditation or rituals, you can actually measure it with brain scans.
I've seen some studies on that.
Right. So the question is, could this shared brain activity actually ripple outwards? Maybe even affecting things like weather patterns or crime rates. That's pretty out there, but definitely something to think about. And finally, there's this concept of environmental factors. Things like EMFs messing with our sleep or climate change impacting natural cycles like bird migration.
Right.
These could be seen as resonance interferences within our own human dots, disrupting that harmony. And we might even be able to see those effects in ecological data.
Okay, so we've gone from quantum to our world. Now we're zooming out even further.
Right, to the cosmic level.
Exactly. This is where we find the macro dot, which
Hmm.
could be some kind of central energy source, maybe even linked to our microdots through entanglement.
It's like this ultimate source of everything.
And the macro circle is the cosmos itself, right? With this idea that it has this repeating pattern, a holographic fractal structure.
It's like looking into a mirror that reflects itself infinitely. And what's so compelling is how the matrix dynamics connect it all together. These unbelievably tiny strings at the smallest scale we can even fathom, 10 to the power of minus 74 meters, they form this 4D web that links all levels through vibration.
Wow, that's mind-bogglingly small.
It really is. And there's this really intriguing placeholder called empirical cosmic proxies. It's the idea that if we analyze the cosmic microwave background, that's the earliest light in the universe, right? Or even gravitational waves, we might find patterns that mirror our own brain rhythms, like those 40 hertz gamma waves, or even ecological cycles, like our heart rate, which is about 1 hertz.
So that would be a huge link between the very big and the very small.
It would be a game changer. So how does this vibrating resonance matrix, how does it all actually work?
Right, that's the question.
Well, the key is resonance, things vibrating in harmony. The model suggests that mathematical relationships, like the harmonic ratios we find in music, they could actually be connecting these different scales of existence. Imagine it visually. At the micro level, you have this tiny pulsing sphere with radiating strings vibrating really fast.
Okay, I see that.
And maybe it's red because of that high frequency. Then at the human level, you have a larger sphere within an expanding ring, a web of strings but slower vibrations, maybe green this time. And finally, at the cosmic level, you have this central point in an infinite lattice, a web with these incredible fractal patterns.
And to make it a little simpler, the sources suggest imagining a 2D web, right? With points for micro, human, and macro, and lines connecting them, showing resonance. You could even color the lines by the speed of the vibrations, blue for slow, red for fast, and use wavy lines to show movement.
Yeah, that's a good way to visualize it. And the sources even suggest using computer programs to create 3D models that could show the fourth dimension in motion, really bring it to life.
Wow, that would be amazing to see.
It would be incredible. So the big takeaway here, the really mind-blowing idea, is that this quantum resonance matrix model proposes a reality that's deeply, profoundly connected through vibration and resonance. Your consciousness and the cosmos, they might actually be different sides of the same vibrating coin.
And our individual perception plays a huge role in shaping that reality.
Exactly. It's not just something happening to us, it's something we're actively participating in.
And the sources point to some exciting next steps, really testing those placeholders with data, like using brain scans to study group consciousness, or looking for those cosmic neural links in the early universe's light. And of course, there's a lot more theoretical work to be done on the model itself.
It's really just the beginning. All of this leads to a really fascinating thought for you. How might your own unique way of seeing the world and the environment right around you be subtly influencing and even linked to these vast cosmic patterns in ways we're just beginning to understand?
Wow, that's something to think about.
It really is.